إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه أما بعد يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وأحسن هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار ثم أما بعد. We continue going over the sharh of Usul al-Sunnah لإمام أهل السنة والجماعة Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah ta'ala. We have reached the chapter which has been called Tafsir al-Nifaaq, the explanation of Nifaaq. Nifaaq, hypocrisy. And it's important to understand that Nifaaq is of two types. You have al-Nifaaq al-i'tiqadi wal-Nifaaq al-amali. You have Nifaaq al-i'tiqadi, and this is, as the Imam rahimahullah ta'ala is going to explain and give his definition, but basically this is a hypocrisy of belief. A hypocrisy of belief. And then you have a Nifaaq al-amali, and this is a Nifaaq of the actions, meaning that a person, he comes with some of the characteristics of the munafiqeen. So he adorns himself with some of the traits and the habits and characteristics of the hypocrites, but this is not remove him from Islam. Whereas a Nifaaq al-i'tiqadi, the hypocrisy that is of belief, then this will remove a person from Islam and make him a hypocrite. Now, this will remove a person from Islam and make him a munafiq. Whereas the Nifaaq amali, meaning that he has some characteristics, like he does some things like the munafiqeen do, he does some things like the hypocrites do, but he's a Muslim. Nevertheless, he's a Muslim. He does not move from Islam. He just had some bad traits and qualities. He's had some bad traits and qualities. And it's important as we go through this particular chapter, which is small in its size, but like this book, it's small, but it's tremendous. It's small in size, but tremendous in meaning. We need to understand this distinction. بإذن الله تعالى. فقال الإمام رحمه الله تعالى: والنفاق هو الكفر أن يكفر بالله ويعبد غيره ويظهر الإسلام في العلانية مثل المنافقين الذين كانوا على عهد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. He says that nifaq هو الكفر. Nifaq, it is disbelief. Nifaq, it is disbelief. And this is something that's important to understand, that the munafiqun humul kuffar, the hypocrites, they are kuffar. And it's important to understand this, because you find too often you'll have individuals who will accuse others of being hypocrites. Hypocrites. And they'll say things like, "That's a munafiq, kada wa kada." This is a tremendously dangerous statement to say, because to say such a thing is to say about your brother that he's a kafir. This is one. Two, a person saying such a thing is as if he's claiming that he has knowledge of the unseen. Because in order to say a person is a munafiq, then you have to know what's in his heart. You have to know that he just acting like he's a Muslim, but he really don't believe in Islam. Now, none of us have the ability to know this. None of us have this ability to know this. The ability to know these things. So, it is incumbent that we don't say the likes of these expressions. We don't go around calling our brothers and our sisters hypocrites. Now, we don't go around calling them hypocrites. But if we find from them, what's more correct is that if we find from them a characteristic that agrees with the characteristics of the hypocrites, like those the Prophet ﷺ he mentioned, for example, that when they give a promise, they break it. Now, so if we find from our brothers or our sisters a characteristic from the characteristics of the hypocrites, like this one, for example, then we can say, fear Allah, you're acting like a hypocrite. Now, or you're doing like what the hypocrites do. Fear Allah. But calling them a hypocrite, stay away from this. Because Nifaaq huwa al-kufr. Nifaaq huwa al-kufr. Naam. And as we explained, Nifaaq naw'an, two types. Nifaaq al-i'tiqadi wa huwa al-kufr. Naam. Wa Nifaaq al-amali. Nifaaq al-amali kufr. Is that disbelief? Nifaaq al-amali, actions, kufr duna kufr. Naam. This is not that major disbelief. Naam, it's not that major disbelief. طيب. فالنفاق هو الكفر. And then it's going to become clear what type of nifaq the Imam is talking about, because he's going to give his definition. نعم. نفاق هو الكفر. أن يكفر بالله ويعبد غيره. To disbelieve in Allah and pray to other than Him. نعم. And then the Imam, he says, وَيُظْهِرَ الْإِسْلَامِ فِي عَلَانِيَةٍ. And he shows Islam on the outside. He shows Islam on the outside. But internally, he doesn't believe in Islam. Internally, he doesn't believe. Now, and you found this became rampant, or this became into existence when the Muslims gained power. Because see, before that, when the Muslims, they didn't have any power nor influence in the like, then there was no benefit in acting like you was a Muslim. There was no benefit. You just become a clear enemy, and then that's it. But once the Muslims gained power, once Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed them with power and influence and the like, now you have individuals who will have an alternative. They will have another agenda, but they'll act like they was a Muslim, so they can get something else. In other words, they will act like they was a Muslim so that they can live in Al-Madinah. Act like they was a Muslim so they can live amongst the Muslims. Act like they was a Muslim because maybe amongst the Muslims there was a lot of trade going on. Now, as times went on and the Ummah expanded, there's a lot of business going on, a lot of trade, a lot of important cities on a trade route were controlled by the Muslims. So this person doesn't believe in Islam, but he started acting like he's a Muslim. Why? Because he want to benefit from this financial gain. So he acts like he's a Muslim. Or because, like, even now today still, you find the Muslim lands are from the safest lands you can live in. Now, the Muslim lands are from the safest lands you can live in. Those lands which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has saved them from the revolution and the rebels, and these with these revolutionary mentalities. Now, because you find in the lands where the people, they have made revolutions against their governments, then you find instability. You find crime on the rise, you find lawlessness on the rise, and so on and so forth. And this is one of the evil repercussions of revolting against the Muslim ruler. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ, or this is from the reasons that the Prophet ﷺ, he prohibited us from rebelling against the ruler as long as he is a Muslim. As long as he's a Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ, he prohibited us from rebelling against the ruler. Ala kullin, those lands that have been saved from this, that have been saved from the likes of these revolutions, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala safeguard and protect all of the lands of the Muslims. Ameen. You find that they are from the most secure places to live in the world. They're from the most secure places to live in the world. Now, you can leave your door unlocked and the like, and no one's going to come in your house. No one's going to rob you. Whereas here in this country, subhanAllah, we know with the rise of all the security companies and the special locks, you have a regular lock, then you got a deadbolt lock, you might have a chain lock, and then on top of that you put a security system in, and you put leads on all the windows, and now the door opens, a window opens, except that it's a beep indicating that it's been opened in what zone, and so on and so forth, and yeah, subhanAllah. Whereas in the land of Muslims, we don't have the likes of this. ADT, whatever, Slomans and that, they wouldn't make business there because there's no need for it. There's no need for it. How many lands they just leave the balcony open, leave the door open, right? and stuff like this. You don't even have to worry about voyeurs. You don't have to worry about nobody looking in your house, because they don't do that. And this is the benefit of the Muslim societies, or from the benefits, we should say, of the Muslim societies. Ala kulli hal, this is something that is well known. So you may have an individual who says, you know what, I want to live amongst the Muslims because it's safe. I got peace, tranquility, and then so he act like he is a Muslim, and he lives amongst the Muslims. So in any event, this became rampant when the Muslims gained power. The people start acting like they were Muslims, but they really weren't Muslims. Now, so the Shaykh, he says, so they show Islam on the outside, but they don't really believe. He said the example is like those hypocrites during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or those hypocrites during the time of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فقال الشيخ ربيع قول الإمام أحمد رحمه الله تعالى والنفاق هو الكفر أن يكفر بالله ويعبد غيره. فقال الشيخ ربيع رحمه الله تعالى النفاق هو أن يظهر الإسلام ويبطن الكفر عبد غير الله نعم أو ما عبد. He says that النفاق, now the Shaykh is bringing you a definition, okay, a definition of nifaq. He says النفاق هو أن يظهر الإسلام ويبطن الكفر عبد غير الله أو ما عبد. He said that nifaq, it is to show and act like you're a Muslim and to hide disbelief, worshipping other than Allah or not worshipping other than Allah. Now, because this is important to know that the munafiq, it is possible that he'll worship other than Allah, but it's also possible that he won't worship other than Allah. Now, and the Shaykh is going to bring an example. He says, فَقَدْ يَكُونُ زِنْدِيقًا لَا يَعْبُدُ اللَّهِ وَلَا يَعْبُدُ غَيْرَهُ. He said he might be an atheist. He might not worship Allah, and he might not worship other than Allah. Now, the Shaykh, he says, مثل الشيوعي, like the communists, for example. Because you have some Muslims, unfortunately, who think there's some benefit in communism, and then vice versa. You may have some communists, right, who act like they're Muslims for a particular reason, benefit from the benefits. Now, so these communists, for example, they don't worship anything. They don't worship Allah, they don't worship other than Allah, but they still might act like they're a Muslim while hiding their disbelief in Islam. So the Shaykh, he's just pointing out, he's highlighting here, that it's not necessarily a condition that they worship other than Allah. What will make one a hypocrite is that they act like they're a Muslim while they hide their disbelief in Islam. So they act like they believe in Islam, but in reality they really don't believe in Islam. Now, so regardless of whether they worship Allah or whether they worship other than Allah or not, as long as they're showing Islam while hiding disbelief, then this is nifaq. But this is what type of nifaq? Amali or i'tiqadi? I'tiqadi. Because this is their belief. They act like they're Muslim but really don't believe in Islam. Now, وهم الكفار. And these are the ones that they're kuffar, and they'll be in the asfal min an-nar, in the lowest portion of the fire. The Shaykh, he said, يظهر الإسلام ويبطن الكفر. They show Islam and they hide kufr. نعم. ولو لم يعبدوا غير الله. And even if they don't worship other than Allah, هو منافق. He's a hypocrite. أو عبد غير الله فهو منافق. And if he worships other than Allah, he's a munafiq. So regardless, whether he worships other than Allah or he doesn't worship other than Allah, as long as he's acting like he's a Muslim but he just believes in Islam, then he is a hypocrite. نعم. The Shaykh, he says, هذا الشاهد هو تعريف المنافق هو من يظهر الإسلام نفاقا وكذبا وتقية ويبطن الكفر. He says, so the point of reference here, it is the definition of a hypocrite. The hypocrite, he is the one who shows Islam. He acts like he is a Muslim. He shows the Islam out of hypocrisy, out of lying, out of deceitfulness, while hiding his kufr. Now, the Shaykh, he says, كثير من الناس. Now the Shaykh is going to give some examples and speak about the nifaq amali. Now, the nifaq amali. He says, كثير من الناس يقول, many people, they say, أنا من أهل السنة والجماعة وهو مبتدع. نعم كثير من الناس انتبه كثير من الناس يقولون أنا من أهل السنة والجماعة ولكن هو مبتدع. Many people, they say, I am from Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. But in reality, they are innovators. Now, they're innovators. But they do the likes of these things so as to confuse the people, so as to misguide the people, and play tricks and games upon them. Now, because look, if someone came in the door right now, and he said, Assalamu alaikum, ana mubtadi', Shaykh al-Mubtadi'een. Now, someone came in and he said, look, I'm an innovator. Matter of fact, I'm the Shaykh of the innovators. What's going to happen? We're going to tell him, you got to go. No way we're going to teach us anything. Huh? So they're not going to come in there, they're not going to say that. They're going to come in there and say, Ana Sunni, Ana Ahli Sunnah, Ana Ahli Sunnati wal Jama'ah, wa ila akhir dhalika. Now, this is what they're going to come, because they know that by way of saying that, by saying, I'm a Sunni, I'm on the Sunnah, I'm Ahli Sunnah wal Jama'ah, that this is going to give them a platform to say what they want to say. This is going to give them a platform to say what they want to say. And what they really want to say is they want to call you to other than the Sunnah. They want to call you to following their Shaykh, or call you to following their Tariqah, or call you to following their Minhaj, or whatever it may be from, what their real intent is. But this is what it is. Or they may just be calling you for some political reasons and things like this and that. So he's not going to come to you and say, I'm a mubtadi', ila akhir dhalik. He's not going to come and say, I'm a mubtadi'. They're not going to give you that courtesy. But rather they're going to come to you and say, Ana min Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. I am from Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And this is why it's important that you have to wait. And this is like the discussion we had over the weekend after Fajr. You have to weigh an individual's statements. You have to weigh an individual's positions and mawaqif and that against that of the Sahaba. Now, this is how you know, because see, people are going to come, they're going to make claims. It's like the poet, he said, كُلٌّ يَدَّعِي وَصْلَ اللَّيْلَ وَهِيَ لَا تُقِرَّ ذَلِكَ لَهُمْ. It says that everyone claims a connection with Layla. Now, everyone. This is from the poet Majnoon and Layla. Now, the one he was in love with, the girl Layla. Now, well-known Muslim poet. Ala kullin, he had this line of poetry, and we take from it the example. Now, it said everyone claims a connection with Layla. He said, but Layla don't agree with that. Everyone claims, I know Layla. But Layla don't agree with that. She don't know them like that. Now, so likewise, everyone, they will claim a connection with the Sunnah, but that doesn't mean that they're truly connected to the Sunnah. Now, that doesn't mean they're truly connected with the Sunnah. Everyone is going to claim that they're upon the Sunnah, but that doesn't mean that they're truly upon the Sunnah. So, ala kulli hal, you have to look at what a person is saying, and you take what they're saying and you weigh it against what the Sahaba said. So you find a person speaking in such a manner, then you weigh that. You say, okay, who from the Sahaba spoke like this? Who from the Sahaba called us to what you're calling us to? And if you find from the Sahaba those who were speaking the likes of this speech, then you say, alhamdulillah, this one, he's on the Sunnah, or at least in this regard, right? You say he's on the Sunnah, he's right, because we find from the Sahaba those who were saying these things. But if you find, for example, a person is calling you to a methodology, he's calling you to a belief that was foreign to that which the Sahaba were upon, then by way of that you'll be able to identify him and say you're not really upon the Sunnah. Because if you're upon the Sunnah, then your speech, your statements, what you're calling, so it will coincide with that which the Sahaba were upon. So as soon as we have seen that it's in contradiction to what they're upon, then now we know your reality. Now we know your reality. Now, and this is the truth of the situation. Now, ta'rif al-ashkhas bi'ish. You'll know the people by amalihim. Now, by their actions. By their actions, you know who they are. Now, this is important. Another way that you'll be able to identify is by who their companions are. As the ulama, they say, you can hide from us your aqeedah, right? You can hide from us your belief, but you can't hide from us your companions. You understand? Because a person may have a crooked belief, but he may not come and express that. He may try to keep it and hide it, because that's what they do. They hide it, they try to act like they support you and they're not, but it's not truly the case. So, but you can't hide your companions. Now, like the Imam from the Tabi'een, when he went to that particular place, and the people there, they were speaking highly about a particular inhabitant of that place. So when he finally saw him, he asked those that were with him, he said, "Ma madhabu?" What is his madhab? And what he intended, remember, it's a tabi'een. So when they said madhab, he didn't intend Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali, yani Hanafi, and that's not what they intended. Because just in fact, the tabi'een, some of the imams, they were, their madhab wasn't founded yet. Right? It wasn't founded, it's before their time. But yeah, ala kullin. So that's not what he meant. When he said madhab, he means what is he on? Is he on the sunnah or is he on something else? Right? So they said, "Oh, ala sunnah, madhabuhu sunnah, wa sunni." Yeah. So he asked, and who are these people that's around him? Okay, you're saying he's up on the sunnah, but who are these people who are constantly around him, that he's constantly with? Who's these people that he's constantly in company of? So they said, "Hum ahl qadr." فأجاب الإمام فقال إذن هو قدري. They said the people he's around are from Ahl al-Qadr, meaning from the Qadariyah. So he said, okay, then he's Qadri, because if he's always hanging around the Qadariyah, how he's going to be upon the Sunnah? You understand? Because those who show the Sunnah, then what? Those who are upon Bid'ah, they're not going to be able to stomach them, and vice versa. I give you other blakum mithal. Give an example. A Khariji, for example, who's making takfir on the Muslims. He said, "Oh, that Muslim, he does, I don't know. He went to a party, he went to a club, kafir, right? That right there is going to be an argument, right or wrong? You're going to say, astaghfirullah, you can't say the brother's a kafir because he went to the club. A'udhu billah, right? You find a person, he come up, he listen to music. Oh, listen to music, kafir. Now, you say, "A'udhu billah, astaghfirullah." You can't say he's a kafir, he listen to music. Or whatever, yani. Oh, I heard he drank khamr. I heard that one sell pork. And that, kuffar. A'udhu billah. Now, you're going to argue with him, correct? You're not going to accept this from him. You're not going to be his best friend. You're going to be constantly arguing. Why? Because of the beliefs. And likewise, do you think he's going to like to be around you? If you keep telling him, contradicting him, and telling him what the sunnah is, he's not going to want to hear that, because all he wants to know is his bid'ah. So what's going to happen is he's not going to be around you, and you're not going to be around him. Now, and this is because, like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Rajul ala din khalili," a man will be on the religion of his friend. A man will be on the religion of his friend, because those who are like each other, as the proverb says, "At-tuyur ala ashkaliha taqa," that the birds of a feather, what they do? They flock together. Birds of a feather, they together, right? They go up together, down together, right, left together. Birds of a feather, them together. But yeah, so if you looking around a person, he's claiming sunnah. But if you look around him and you see from around him those who are from Ahl Bid'ah, then you understand. Then you with them. Now, you're not really with us. You're with them. But yeah, so you have to be careful. Why? Because many of the people, they come and they claim that they're upon the sunnah. Now, but the reality is that they were yantawi al-bid'ah, but they embrace innovation, where tadhahar, and they show the innovator. They embrace it, then they show it. So, for example, they may embrace the innovation of a particular innovator, and then what they'll do is they'll start calling you to the books of that innovator. So this is what it means, and they say that they express it. So they say, "Oh, this book is good. You should listen. You should read this book." Or listen, this is a good mawqi'. This is a good website. You should go to this website. Or this is a good MP3. You should listen to this MP3. And MP3 is from Mubtadi' so and so. Website belonging to Mubtadi' such and such, and the like. So they're acting like they're upon the sunnah, but in reality they're trying to call you to the innovation of this particular innovator in which they embraced and now calling to. Now are showing the people. So you have to be very careful. So you listen and you be wise. So you find an individual, for example, saying, "Oh, I'm from the people of the Sunnah. Oh yeah, I love Sheikh Ibn Baz, I love Sheikh Albani, I love Sheikh Muqbil, I love the Mashayikh." Right? But you find that he's telling you, "You know what? Between me and you, Osama bin Laden, Sheikh. A'udhu billah. Then you know, هذا خارجي. Khariji. Why? Because of his thana ala khariji. Because of his praise for khariji. It's like they ask the mashaykh, is the khawarij, do they fight fi sabilillah? The shaykh, he said they fight fi sabil shaitan. They fight in the way of shaitan. They don't fight in the way of Allah. They fight in the way of shaitan. The khawarij, al-qa'ida ومن معهم. نعم من الخوارج في هذا العصر. The khawarij. So whoever is speaking good about them, khariji. Or they'll come there and tell you, I'm from the sunnah, but you know what? You should really look at this site. Look at this DVD I got showing the mujahideen, showing the mujahideen inside of Iraq or inside of Afghan. Look how they doing, and stuff like this. Then you know from these people that this person kharij. Nah? Because why they show you these things? Why do they show you these films? People fighting jihad and stuff like that. Why? So to encourage you to join the cause. You see the victory we had? Look how he blew up that tank. Oh, look how they attacked these ones. And this and that. So what? So you can join the cause. Join the cause. The cause of who? The cause of the Khawarij. These are their methods. Because you see, they're upon bid'ah. So they don't have with them from proofs and evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah. They can't bring you ayat and ahadith and like this and the statements of the Sahaba. They can't bring you that stuff. So what they do is they bring you a DVD, people running around fighting jihad, or they bring you some pictures of Muslims who have been killed, and they say, you see what happened? You see how they killed these kids? You know who did that? The Jews did that. You want to do something? Come on. You should go to Palestine. You should do something. Put a bomb on you, sneak in, and then go blow yourself up. A'udhu billah. Now, so you have to be careful. When you find people use a lot of these tactics, you have to be careful. You have to be able to identify them and say, okay, I know who you are. That's it. I'm going to run far away from you. I don't want to hear nothing from you. Don't call me. Lose my number. Don't. That's it. You understand? If you have the ability, you can advise them. If not, get away from them. On the first thing, smoking out of there. Get away from that person. You understand? So like this, you'll be able to know individuals. Also, a way that you'll be able to identify individuals who claim that they're upon the sunnah but they're really not is by their connection to the ulama. It's by their connection to the ulama. So you ask them, you test them about the ulama. Now, this is how you do it. This is how it was done in the times of the Salaf. They would test individuals about the ulama. So if a man came from Baghdad, for example, they would ask him, what is your opinion of Imam Ahmad? If we start speaking good about Imam Ahmad, so on and so forth, then you know, okay, how the Sunni. This one's on the Sunnah. Now, a man came from Egypt, for example, they would ask him about Imam Layth. What's your opinion of Imam Layth? You start speaking good about Imam Layth, and then they say, okay, the Sunni. Now, and so on and so forth. This is how they would ask the people about the ulama. But the ulama who were what? Who were alive in their time. You understand? Who were alive in their time. So this is how we start asking people. Okay, what do you think about the ulama? Then you mentioned, for example, a person comes from Kuwait, for example. Now, then you start naming the ulama from Ahl Sunnah in Kuwait. So you say, okay, what's your opinion of Sheikh Falah Ismail? Now, see what he said. What's your opinion of Sheikh Anjali? What is your opinion of Sheikh Tariq As-Subi'i? What about his brother Ahmed, Sheikh Ahmed As-Subi'i? What are your opinion of these mashayikh? And then you hear what he says. If he starts speaking good about them, he's from Kuwait. Do you go around them? Do you study with them? Do you know them? And he starts saying, yes, I attend their lectures, the durus, the muhadarat, Then you know, okay, inshallah, he's khair. Nah. But if he starts saying, well, we have other mashayikh, and you start playing games like this, yeah, they're good, but there's a lot of mashayikh, a lot of mashayikh. Okay, like who? And he starts, like Abdurrahman al-Khaliq, and okay, هذا بدعي. Abdurrahman al-Khaliq, ترى بدعي. طيب. Like this. When they come to Saudiya, you ask, okay, Saudiya, what's your opinion of Sheikh Salih Fawzan? What about the Mufti? Sheikh Abdis al-Sheikh. What about his son, Sheikh Salih Abdis al-Sheikh? What is your opinion of Sheikh Luhaydan? What is your opinion of Sheikh Rabi'? What is your opinion of Sheikh Ubaid? What is your opinion of Sheikh Muhammad Bahadi? What about Sheikh Abdul Muslim al-Albad? And so on and so forth. So many mashayikh. You ask him, what is your opinion of his mashayikh? And then he started playing these games. It's other mashayikh. They're not the only mashayikh in the world. Now, I ain't say they were, but I'm asking you about them. What do you think about them? You understand? Do you listen to them? Do you listen to their durus? Do you read their books? And these mashayikh, so many not to choose from. If you're not, so you listen to. You'll be able to identify individuals. Also, on this level or on this point of the mashayikh, you can identify individuals with regards to whether or not they connect themselves to the mashayikh that are alive still. Because you find some people, they say, Yani shuyukhi kulluhum amwat. They say, my scholars, they all dead. As to say what? I don't trust people living right now. So this is what some people are saying. My scholars, they all dead. As far as the people right now, yeah, I don't know about them. Now, a'udhu billah. A person may hear this and say, oh, that sound good, right? Because, I mean, you know, you're talking about Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, Imam Ibn Qayyim, Imam Ibn Rajab, Imam Ibn Kathir, like this, right? So you say, yeah, that was a good mashayikh. All right, that's all you listen to, no problem. That's a problem. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ, he said, لا تزال طائفة من أمتي ظاهرين على الحق. They will not cease to be a group of my ummah who are clear and apparent upon the truth. Clear and apparent on the truth. نعم لا يضرهم من خذلهم ولا من خالفهم حتى يأتي أمر الله وهم على ذلك. They said they will not be harmed by those who leave them, nor by those who go against them, until the amr of Allah comes and they are upon that. Now, so the Prophet ﷺ, he told us that what they will not cease to be a group of the ummah clear and apparent upon the truth. At the head of that, no doubt about it, they are who? The ulama of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So in every time there's going to be the ulama of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Now, so for a person to say this and to say, no, forget everybody now, just stick to everybody who came before, then what is he doing? It's as if he's belying the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, so therefore you'll be able to know why, and I'm going to tell you why they do this. The reason why they do this is the same reason they don't connect themselves to the Sahaba. Right? Because by a person disconnect himself from the Sahaba, by a person coming to you and saying, Yani, nahnu rijal wa hum rijal, we men, they men, then what does that mean? That means that whatever they say could be contested, thrown out the window, overpowered by something that I say. You understand? This is the evil that these people intend. Why? Because now, when it comes to an ayah or it comes to a hadith, and you ask them, well, who from the Sahaba said it means what you saying it means? They say, well, they men, we men, I ain't got to listen to them. That's what it means. That's what Allah said. So what happens is that you take away your frame of reference. You take away your scale. Now how you going to identify now what's right and what's wrong? You have to weigh it according to what the Sahaba said. So they'll try to get rid of the Sahaba so that they can tell you what they want to tell you. You follow? But likewise, for the same reason, they try to get rid of the ulama who are living right now. You understand? Because if you remove the ulama who are alive out the equation, now I can take a statement from Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah and I can twist it and tell you it means what I want it to mean. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah is dead, rahimahullah ta'ala. He can't defend himself. He can't clarify what he meant. His student, Imam Ibn Qayyim, he's dead. He can't rahimahullah ta'ala, he can't clarify what his shaykh meant. Na'am. So who was left to defend what was intended by the mashaykh who had passed away? Who's here to defend what they meant? The ulama who are alive. So if I want to play games with the statements of the ulama who had died, what do? I discredit all the ulama who are alive. I get you away from them. I separate you from them. Now I have you, where I want you. Now I can tell you what I want to tell you, and there's no one to come and say X, Y, and Z. Because you find people trying to do this. They come and they say, well, Shaykh al-Islam meant this, and they try to bring all these things. But then who are the ones who refute that? Who are the ones who refute these statements? The ulama who are alive. The ulama who are alive. When they get wind of this, if somebody publish it in a newspaper or in a book and that, they'll come and say, no, this is not what Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah meant. This is not what Imam Ahmed meant. This is not what Imam Malik meant. This is not what Imam Shafi'i meant. This is not what Imam Abu Hanifa meant. La, this is what they really meant. And they explain. Now, then they explain. So this is why they try to separate you from the ulama who are alive right now, so they can play these games. Now, so if you find people trying to separate you from the ulama, if you find people saying, oh, I take from the ulama, but they only mention ulama who are dead, like someone who come and say, oh, I love Shaykh Al-Bani, I love Shaykh Muqbil, I love Shaykh Bin Baz, I love Shaykh Uthaymeen, rahimahumullah ta'ala. But they're all gone, rahimahumullah ta'ala. They're all gone. Now, and they were of a status that everybody loves them. And they were of a status that even if you don't love them, you will act like you love them. Right? Because imagine someone coming, he gave a whole khutbah refuting Shaykh Bin Baz. Even a common person who doesn't know much about much will say, something's wrong with this guy. We know Sheikh Ibn Baz is good. Or so when they come and they start talking bad about Imam Ibn Qayyim or Imam Ibn Kathir, right? The first thing you're going to say, what's wrong with this guy? Something's wrong with him. You're talking bad about Ibn Kathir, Ibn Qayyim, talking bad about Sheikh Muqbil, talking bad about Sheikh Uthaymeen. Something's wrong with him. What's wrong with him? Right? They're going to run away from him. So they won't do that because they understand that will be exposing them. They don't want to expose their hand. So they'll come and they'll, act like they like them, the Shaykh. Well, Sahahu Shaykh Albani. People say, oh, he said Shaykh Albani, he must be upon the Sunnah, right? Not necessarily. How many people quote Imam Bukhari? Ja'a fi Sahih Bukhari. Qala Imam Muslim. And these are ulama on the Sunnah. And they use them all the time. So just because a person quotes from Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Sunan Imam al-Tirmidhi, and the like, doesn't that mean he's Sunni? No, that don't mean he's upon the Sunnah. That just means he's quoting from an alim upon the Sunnah. So likewise, they use these same tricks. So don't fall for their tricks. Now, ala kullin, the Shaykh, he says you have many people who say that they're upon the Sunnah, but they're not upon the Sunnah. Now, they say, نحن من أهل السنة وعلامات أنهم يتولون أهل البدع ويضعون المناهج لحمايتهم. He said that they say they were from the Sunnah, but rather they're really from Ahl al-Bid'ah, and they put down and they initiate and institute various methodologies in their defense, in the defense of the people of innovation. The Shaykh said, نحن نريد شبابا أذكياء فطناء عندهم ولاء كل ولاء لله وللرسول وللمؤمنين وعلى رأسهم أصحاب محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، أي على رأس المؤمنين أصحاب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. فإذا رأينا خللا في هذا الولاء فهناك خلل في العقيدة وخلل خطير والضياع كثير. The Shaykh, he says, كبير، ضياع كبير. The Shaykh, he says, we need the youth to be wise. We need the youth to be intelligent, to be wise. Those who they have with them loyalty and allegiance. He says, so the allegiance is to Allah and to His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to the believers. And at the head of the believers, meaning the companions of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So to the believers, but first and foremost the Sahaba, and then those who follow them in good. Now from the believers. He said, and if we see any type of deficiency inside of this loyalty, this allegiance, then know that there is a deficiency in their aqidah. Now, so if you see a person and his allegiance, his loyalties is not for Allah, is not for the Prophet ﷺ, is not for the Sahaba, not for the believers, then know that there's a deficiency in his aqidah, and this deficiency is dangerous, and it comprises of much loss, or of a big loss. Now, a big loss. So the Shaykh goes on and he says that back to the munafiqun. نعم, he says فهذا منافق المنافق هو الذي يبطل الكفر, that this hypocrite, he is the one, the hypocrite, who he hides his disbelief. يظهر الإسلام في العلانية, he shows Islam outwardly but he hides his disbelief. ويقول شيخ الإسلام ابن تيمية رحمه الله تعالى بعد الناس يظن أن النفاق كان في عهد الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم وانتهى وغلط. نعم, حذيفة رضي الله تعالى عنه يقول النفاق اليوم أشد منه في العهد الرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he said that you find some of the people and they think that hypocrisy was restricted and only existed in the time of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then it stopped. He said, and this is wrong, ghalid, this is wrong. Na'am. He said Hudhayfa radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he used to say that the hypocrisy of today is greater than the hypocrisy during the time of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Naam, Shaykh, this Hudhayfa, you're talking about the Hudhayfa Sahabi radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. So he's speaking to who? The Tabi'een. He's speaking to who? The Tabi'een or the Tabi'un. He's speaking to the Tabi'un. And then he's telling them what? Hypocrisy right now is greater than it was in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So now what about right now in our time? SubhanAllah. Nah. So it's not something that was restricted to the time of the Prophet ﷺ. فَقَالُوا, so they said, فَقَالُوا التَّابِعُونَ, those who was with him, they said, قَالُوا كَيْفَ, they said, how is that? How is there more hypocrisy now than it was then? فقال حذيفة رضي الله تعالى عنه كان منافقون في عهد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يخفون نفاقهم وأما اليوم فإنهم قد أظهروا نفاقهم. He said, is greater why? He said, because in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the hypocrites, they used to hide their hypocrisy. They will hide their hypocrisy. He said, but as far as today, you find that they just show their hypocrisy. They expose their hypocrisy. Today they don't care. They expose their hypocrisy and the like. And the Shaykh goes on to give us some understanding of this. He said, Al-an mawjood bi-kathra. He said, right now we have it a lot. These characteristics of hypocrisy, hypocrisy, we have it a lot. Khasa fil harakat al-siyasiyya. He said, especially inside of the political movements. Kama shahida ba'duhum. He says, just like some of them, they say, وَقَالَ بَعْدُهُم. And some of them, they acknowledge this, and this is what they say. They say, مَا عَرَفْتُ سِيَاسِيًّا لَا يَكْذِبْ. Now, you heard that before? Huh? They say, these are some people who are politics, some politicians themselves. They say what? They say, man, I don't know a single politician that don't lie. I don't know a politician who don't lie. Meaning what? All politicians, they liars. Sah or they lie? Sah. You know any who don't lie? This is what they say about themselves. Some of the politicians themselves say, you know, I don't know a politician who don't lie. Now, and some of them say, as-siyasatu nifaaq. They say that politics is hypocrisy. Nah, it's hypocrisy. But yeah, because in reality, how are you going to be a good politician except that you always got to play tricks and play games and go back on promises and so on and so forth, right? Right? You think about the characteristics of the Prophet ﷺ. He mentioned the characteristics of the munafiq. He said, ثلاث من كن فيه فهو منافق. That there are three characteristics. If a person got him, he's a munafiq. When he speaks, he tells lies. Okay, we just established that the politicians, they lie. So this is a characteristic now that they have. This is a characteristic that they have. But وَإِذَا وَعَذَا أَخْلَفَ. When he gives a promise, he what? Breaks it. Naam, breaks it. وَإِذَا أُؤْتُمِنَ خَانَ. And when he's given a trust, he breaks it. But he's given a trust, he breaks it. It's unfortunate, but this is it. So this is why some of the people, they say politics is hypocrisy. Politics is hypocrisy. وَكَثِيرٌ مِّن سِيَاسِيِّينَ عِنْدَهُمْ نِفَاقٌ عَمَلِي فِي الْأَحْزَابِ السِّيَاسِيَّةِ. Now the Shaykh, he makes this very clear, that they have with them nifaq amali, actions, the nifaq of action, because that which was mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, this is what? The nifaq of actions. Of actions. When they speak, they lie. When they give a promise, they break it. When they are trusted with something, they betray the trust. These are actions. So this is nifaq amali. Nifaq amali. Amma nifaq i'tiqadi, then this is what? And yuhar al-Islam wa yubtin al-kufr. They show Islam and they hide kufr. Wallah? Now, ala kullin, you'll find that the individuals who, from Ahl Bid'ah, from the people of Bid'ah, that they will put together all types of false and erroneous manahij so as to support the people of Bid'ah. For example, the Shaykh, he brings for example, he says, mithil, example, Minhaj al-Muwazinat. The Minhaj al-Muwazinat. Al-Muwazinat is an innovative methodology where the people, they say, you can't speak bad about somebody except you also got to speak good about them. Right? Because it's from Islam that if you are made aware of a innovator, for example, calling to his innovation, then you have to warn the people from his innovation. Right? That's what's muhim, that you warn the people from his innovation so they don't fall into that innovation. They say no, you can't just warn against a mubtadi', but then you also gotta be fair, so mention his good qualities. So if he prays a lot, say, but he prays a lot, but he's really a nice guy. But yeah, he gives a lot of charity. He's always smiling at people, right? Like this. So this is what they say. This is the innovative methodology. Because by doing this, what do? It's like you kill your own reputation, right? That's like a person coming and saying, you know what? You shouldn't eat at McDonald's. Right? McDonald's is a bad place. You shouldn't eat there. But I tell you what, man, that quarter pounder with cheese, man, it's so good. They fries, the best fries ever. They shakes, subhanallah. Right? Now what happened? You done killed your own reputation. I thought it was bad. Now you done said all this stuff. Now I want some fries and a shake. Right? So likewise with the Muqtadi, they say you destroy your own reputation. But they do this, why? Because that's what they want. They want to water down and destroy the reputation so that you don't go away from the Muqtadi. So this is why they bring these methodologies so as to what? So as to support the people of innovation. As opposed to coming out and saying, no. He's a good person. Don't say he's bad. They'll say, okay, you can say he's bad. No problem. But make sure you tell him how much he be praying. Make sure you tell him how much charity he gives. Make sure you say this. Make sure you say. Make sure you say. So this is their way of circumventing the reputation and support the innovation. And they make up things like this all the time. Now, and from them, another example is what? You have individuals who they'll say, you know what? We're not with the people of innovation ever. We're not with them. Right? But yet when you study their works, meaning the works of these people who make these claims, and we're not with the people of innovation, we're with the people of the Sunnah. When you study their works and you study what they do, you find that what? All of their reputations is against the people of the Sunnah. Right? And they don't have a single word against the people of innovation. All of their criticism is with the people of the Sunnah. Whereas the people of innovation, there's not a single word from them. Now, not a single word from them. And we have this, and this is rampant. It goes on a lot. It goes on a lot. Like there's an individual who, walillah alhamd, the brothers here have not been tested by this individual. But there's an individual who claims Salafiyah. He claims he's upon the Sunnah. Now, but yet you find everything that comes from him is refuting the people of the Sunnah. Everything. Refuting the people of the Sunnah. Putting down the people of the Sunnah. Highlighting the mistakes of the people of the Sunnah. Now, and then to add insult to injury, okay? He not only never refused any person of innovation, but rather he accepted the imamship. He accepted the job and position of the imam at a masjid who calls to the aqidah of the Ash'aris. But yet he's saying, I'm upon the Sunnah, but yet he is the imam of an Ash'ari masjid. Shaykh. And not just any Ash'ari masjid, but this is a masjid that has been instrumental in calling to the aqidah of the Ash'ari. They've been instrumental in calling people to the aqidah. They have so much stuff on YouTube and everything like this, calling people to the aqidah of the Ash'ari. Openly speaking ill of the ulama, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, the Mashayikh, accusing them of disbelief, accusing them of being heretics and the like. And this person claiming to be upon the Sunnah, he doesn't refute them, but rather he does what? He goes and he beats their imam, and yet he says, I'm upon the Sunnah. Does that sound like someone's upon the Sunnah to you? He works with the people of innovation. He never speaks bad about none of them, but yet he's always speaking bad and fault finding with the people of the Sunnah, always putting down the people of the Sunnah. All his reputations against the people of the Sunnah. Right? We know people by their actions. So you have to be very wise. You have to beware. We live in a time that is dangerous. We have a lot of people claiming the Kitab and the Sunnah, but they're not upon it like that. So we can't just be happy-go-lucky and take from here and there, but rather we have to be very wise, and we have to be very intelligent, and we have to be very cautious. So if we find an individual making any claim by any claim, then we ask about that individual before we start taking it. Just like the great Imam Ibn Siddiq, he said that verily this deen, or this knowledge is deen. This knowledge is deen. So look to who you take your deen from. So we find a person, no matter how good it may sound. Now, if he's from the people of Egypt, then ask the ulama in Egypt about him. Now, I'm just for the people in Egypt, the ask the ulama of Egypt, the likes of Sheikh Hassan Abdul Wahab al-Banna, the likes of Sheikh Muhammad Sa'id al-Islam, the likes of Sheikh Khalid Abdul Rahman, the likes of Sheikh Khalid bin Uthman, the likes of Sheikh Abdul Amin Mansouri. Ask the Mashaykh. Dr. Talat, ask the Mashaykh, what do you know about this person? He's from Egypt, he's saying he's upon khair. What do you know about him? Naam. If you don't find anyone who knows about him, then call them and ask. And if anyone will like these numbers, alhamdulillah, we have the numbers of the Mashaykh. So you can just call him. Just get a phone call and just call him yourself. Assalamu alaikum Shaykh, ana fulan, andi su'al, fadlik. Ask your question. Naam. And this is a benefit. And I encourage the brothers to take full advantage of this. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Connect themselves with the ulama, call them. They even some Mashaykh, where they give out the email address, or just send them an email, they'll send you back an answer. And they're very busy, sometimes it takes time, but they get back to you eventually. Naam. And the like. And I encourage the brothers with this, inshallah ta'ala. As Allah ta'ala says, ask those who know if you don't know. Naam. So we encourage the brothers with this. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Let me move on to the next chapter, where the Shaykh, he goes over some very important hadith. Naam. And that. But بإذن الله تعالى نتوقف هنا فنكتفي بهذا القدر وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.